This show is about your mental health. While it's supported by the pillars of positivity and hope, if you find yourself in crisis, please reach out for help. In many communities in both the United States and Canada, you can dial 211 to be connected to mental health and crisis services in your region. While it may seem like it at times, you are not alone. Good evening, family. For those of you who, were with me in Kevin's Isolators, I know you're out there. So hello, welcome back. For those of you new to the family, welcome. And I hope that this becomes a routine for everybody. First of all, let's put a few people on here, shall we? So there's Lori. Now I'm going to recognize a lot of these names right now. One of the best ways, by the way, to take part in this is to really get on the message board and communicate. You're among friends. This is a safe place. In the past, whenever we've had, and we haven't really had very much in the way of problems with people, but when we do, I don't worry because everyone sort of takes care of that person. Nothing mean. They're just saying, you know what, this is a safe place. People want to be here to share some feelings and just to feel good for a while. In fact, I think that we are hoping that this will become a Sunday night routine and that it's a chance for you to press the pause button. In fact, I encourage you to grab a glass of wine on Sunday evenings or a nice tea or something like that. I'm going to try, I've given Parker the night off, okay? Because I want to try and keep at least this first one very simple. I think this is pretty loud, isn't it? See, if Parker were here, he'd take care of that. Well, he's here, but... So I'm going to keep this very simple, but I want this to become a Sunday evening routine. This is the Happy Molecule Extra. And what makes it different than Kevin's Isolators, and I'm going to turn my microphone down just a bit. Now, whatever you can, if there's a problem with audio, video, things like that, just please let me know. So the one thing about routine that you have to remember, if you have depression, and depression rates, and this is the reason I'm doing the Happy Molecule, is that depression rates are skyrocketing. Not only here in Canada and the U.S., but around the world. And sadly, one of the biggest portions of the population that are being impacted are the youth. Let me see. We're fighting, so I'm glad I can put my earbuds in and just listen. I'm glad. So Charity says that, you know what? Well, all hell is breaking loose. So Charity, you need a glass of wine. Now, a lot of people say, well, alcohol and depression, as long as it doesn't become a problem, it's fantastic. As long as it's just, you're just having half a glass or a glass. It's sort of a signal to your body that you want to relax. And that's what I want to do for the time that we are with each other now. I'm going to hold off on putting some of the comments on right now because I want to concentrate on sort of setting all this up. So this very first episode of the Happy Molecule Extra, we're going to take a look at the very first episode of my podcast that was uploaded this morning. And I hope you've had a chance to watch it and subscribe to it, I'm hoping. We're going to talk about an upcoming episode and other upcoming episodes as well. And then I want to get some of your comments. And we're going to talk about something new called the Me 3. As I've been mentioning, I hope this becomes a routine on Sunday evenings for you and for me. And I hope that routine is enjoyable. I hope it is something that you will look forward to. So as in Charity, you can put your earbuds in, tell everybody, you know what? Mom is going to sit here for the next little bit and be a part of the Happy Molecule Extra family. And I'm going to put my earbuds in, so whatever happens, just let it happen. We're together. We're in a safe spot. Routine is very important for people like me, like you, living with depression, if you live with depression. Because it helps us make sense of things. One of the big problems with depression is anxiety, right? You're worried about tomorrow. But if you have something to look forward to, and I encourage you to always have something to look forward to, little things, it can really change your outlook, can change your entire mood and feeling. Instead of going, I got work tomorrow, or I've got this big presentation next week, or I'm still waiting to find out if I can go back to work, things like that. If you can just say, you know what? I'm going to be spending an hour with my family. I'm gonna sit back and relax and share things. By the way, even though I'm not putting these on, let's see. Let's see. I'm going to ask. There's Marilyn says I'm going to ask Alexa to remind me every Sunday night so I don't forget. Alexa, remind me to watch the Happy Molecule Extra every Sunday night.
What time every Sunday night should I remind you?
7 p.m.
Okay.
There we go. See, good idea. Good idea. I hope it's enjoyable. I hope it's something you look forward to. I hope it's a breath. I'm going to be using a lot of words, some words a lot. Breath, pause, hope. Hope is probably the most important word we are going to use. The opposite of depression, at least for me, is hope. If you're living with depression, you have little hope. And that's what gives you that anxiety and those panic attacks, because you have little hope. But when you have hope, when you're looking forward to something, hopefully this show, it makes all the difference in the world. So if you can do anything for yourself, try and plan little things during the week that give you hope. So let me tell you a little bit about the Happy Molecule. We're going to get into all of this. We're going to tell you what the Happy Molecule Extra is and why that's different. This is something new for me. I am putting a lot of effort into this kind of, I guess I'll call it a franchise, because I think it's time. I think it's time that we all had a safe place to go and listen and be a part of a community. And I'm hoping to bring you good advice, the latest information, but most of all, I'm hoping to bring you hope. And we're going to be talking about a number of things. The first podcast episode was uploaded this morning, Dr. Joe, and we talked about habits and how we react to anxiety and depression may actually be a bad habit in how we do it. We'll explain that a little bit more. We're going to be talking about some serious topics, but we need to talk about them. Suicide. While depression is skyrocketing, sadly, so is suicide. So are suicide rates. We have so much on our minds, don't we? Some of us have lost our jobs. Some of us have, worried about paying the rent. Some of us are just simply scared and worried. What's going to happen? Some of us are worried about our seniors or people who are vulnerable and at risk. And that has led some people to believe that their only chance is suicide. And I'm hoping to convince you it's not. I'm also hoping to convince you that if you have thoughts of suicide, I understand. We understand. Don't hide it. You need to talk about it. And we need to talk about it. In fact, coming up, I'm not sure, I think it's next week, next Tuesday, we're going to be talking to Kevin Briggs. Now, Kevin Briggs is, he's big on the TED Talk circuit. He was a California Highway Patrol officer who was responsible for the Golden Gate Bridge, or part of his patrol area was the Golden Gate Bridge. And we all know what a magnet that is for people who want to take their life by suicide. But he made a difference in so many lives. And so now he has dedicated his life to changing people's minds about it being the only way out. He is fascinating, and I can't wait for you to hear what he has to say. We're going to be talking about the brain. We're going to be talking, when it comes right down to it, where does our mental health come from? It comes from the brain. Sometimes we're too smart for our own good, and that sometimes leads to depression. For instance, did you know that your brain, first of all, is the fattest organ in your body? And so therefore, when we talk about fat in your diet, that's kind of your brain needs the good fats. It also needs a bit of the bad fats, and we're going to be talking about that as well in an upcoming episode. But your brain is 75% water. How can it function properly if you're not drinking enough water? Small and simple, right? And that's what I want to do, little steps. Small and simple. In fact, tonight, just start drinking more water. That's a huge reason. A lot of people are thinking I drink more water because I want to, and I will get to the comments. I'm sorry, I'm not watching them right now, so talk amongst yourselves. I will get to them, I promise. It's hard for me to concentrate here with watching those as well. So I want little things that you can take control of your own life. We're on this journey together, okay? And we're going to take this journey together. I don't want you just to listen passively. I want you to be a part of this, whether it's this or the podcast or the website or the blog, whatever. We're going to get into all of that. So drink some water. We're going to be talking about the brain a lot. Your diet and good sleep, very important. Sometimes your depression is not worse. We think, because I have depression, I have a bad sleep. Well, hold on. Maybe you have a bad sleep or you have depression because of a bad sleep, or at least it's worsened because of a bad sleep. It's like the chicken and the egg thing. So we're going to talk about how important sleep is. It's more important than you think. It's not just for resting. Your body actually takes different times of the night to regenerate and repair different organs. So there's a certain time of night that while you're sleeping, your kidneys are repaired. And if you miss that time, the repair doesn't happen that night. So sleep, very, very important. And we all know diet is very important. Joy McCarthy is going to be one of my guests as well in a couple of weeks talking about diet. And you know what? The one thing she said to me was she had said that when you're cooking chicken, keep the skin on and eat the skin. And she's going to explain. Okay, we talked about fat before, a little bit of a hint. We're going to be having episodes about seniors. So many times our senior citizens are forgotten about when it comes to mental health because they grew up in a time when there was an incredible stigma. Even I grew up in a time when there's an incredible stigma of mental health. In fact, we really haven't really opened up to mental health problems really much more than 10 years ago. So our seniors went through hell in a lot of cases with their mental health, and they went alone with it. And even now today probably feel ashamed about it. In a lot of cases are living by themselves and have no one else to talk to. So we're going to talk about seniors. We're going to be talking about your anxiety attacks, your panic attacks if you have them. I have. I have some advice for you. I have some, I think, surefire remedies that will help ease them. So we're going to be talking about anxiety attacks and panic attacks, and it's okay. You're not the only one who has them. I thought I was. Back in 2006, I had my first one. Imagine, if you will, that you've never sneezed in your life. And other people may have sneezed, but they don't admit it because they're ashamed of it because they think they're the only one. So you've never heard a sneeze. You've never seen a sneeze. Now, a sneeze is a pretty violent thing in your body, right? It impacts your heart, your brain, your breath, everything, your lungs. For a split second, it's just like, bam! But we're so used to it. So if I sneezed right now, I'd just go, oh my goodness. And everybody would look at me and they'd say, oh yeah, you just sneezed, bless you. But what happens if you had never sneezed in your life and then you turn, okay, so my first panic attack was 2006, take away 14. So I was 42. Parker, what's 56, take away 14? Oh, he's got his headphones on. Anyway, so let's say you had never sneezed until you were in your mid-40s, ever. And all of a sudden you sneezed and you did it in front of people. It would scare the hell out of you. You would know what it was. No one would talk about it. And you wouldn't want anyone to know about it. People would, and if people knew about it, they would just look at you like, oh my gosh. But you know what? We don't. We sneeze all the time. It's pretty normal. It could indicate that there's a problem. It could be an allergy. It could be a cold coming on. It could simply be some cobwebs in our nose and worried about the dust. So we sneeze to do that. And we're okay with that. It's not scary. I don't want you to be scared anymore from a panic attack or an anxiety attack, and we're going to work on that. I don't want to say it's normal, but I want to say it's a normal response. And if we can allow it to happen like we allow sneezes to happen right now, it can't hurt us anymore. And we're going to work on that, and we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about loneliness. Loneliness. We have never been at a time in the world where we are more connected, more social media, and you know, to say nothing about picking up the phone anymore and just calling someone around the world. You don't even think about it anymore. Heck, I remember when I was a kid, a long distance phone call, even from North Bay to Sudbury, 150 miles or 90 miles. I don't know what it is. It was a big deal. And you'd hear the whirring and the clicking and the hissing. But now it's nothing. We have communication like you wouldn't believe. We have more leisure time. We have more time to be with friends and family. And yet, we have never, ever been at a time when we are more lonely. And loneliness takes a huge toll on us, and just exacerbates our depression and our anxiety. So we're going to talk about that. Do you know how bad loneliness is? Do you know that the United Kingdom actually has a government minister responsible for loneliness? That's how serious it is. And we're going to talk about that in an upcoming episode, why they need it and what's happening. But that shows you how serious it is. When you have a government minister, right? You have a minister of tourism, you have a minister of transportation. Those are important topics. Minister of education. But a minister of loneliness? Is that how bad it's become? Yeah, it has. So we're going to be having shows about that. Okay. I want to move on a little bit right now and talk about the podcast to begin with. Then we're going to talk about the other Happy Molecule portions of the franchise. So let's start, first of all, with the podcast, which, by the way, is up on all major podcast sites right now. And I hope when you go to it that you subscribe to it as well, because it helps me out. So first of all, I want to talk about the background you're going to see a lot of. These are neurons. It's basically your brain's highway of information. And traveling along that highway is the dopamine molecule. It's a neurotransmitter that your body makes it. Your nervous system uses it to send messages. Dopamine plays a role in how we feel pleasure. Thus, the happy molecule. And there is the dopamine molecule. So that's where the name of the podcast comes from. So the podcast is uploaded, and it will start this Tuesday morning with new episodes every Tuesday morning. I know I uploaded one today. A video version of each episode is available on YouTube, on the Kevin Frankish channel as well. Now, you're watching the Happy Molecule Extra, and that's every Sunday at 7 p.m. right here on Facebook. There is also a blog and a website, thehappymolecule.com, also called The Happy Molecule Extra, and that will be updated regularly. And I'm hoping to incorporate more and more of your comments. And I just learned how to make a website, and so I just did it this week. So I'm still learning on how to make sure all your comments get it. The idea is to create a community. The idea is not just me to stand here with my guests and preach. This has got to be a community. It's got to be a two-way street. And so I'm going to be working hard on that. And I would encourage you to send me an email. It's the happy. What's the email? thehappymolecule@gmail.com. That's it. Think about it. thehappymolecule@gmail.com. I want you to send me an email for now, and we're going to communicate. We are going to communicate. I want to talk about the first podcast that went up this morning, and I chose as the first guest a guy who is much sought after and writes for many major magazines, and is a clinical psychologist of more than 40 years' experience in New York. His name is Dr. Joe Lucini. And he is also an author of many books. The one that I wanted to talk to him about, though, was this one, Unlearning Anxiety and Depression.
Cigarette smoker. Do you think it's necessary for the cigarette smoker to know why they took that first cigarette? Of course not.
No.
We are the aggregate of everything that has preceded us. It is apparent in the moment. So the you that you're looking at, and I'm looking at you and you're looking at me, and that what we're seeing is the whole life of that person encapsulated in this moment, the good, the bad, the ugly. So when address anxiety or depression in a retrograde way by trying to go back in history, the cigarette smoker, it's just superfluous. It's not necessary. The habit exists right in front of us. Well, what are we doing with the habit? Cigarette smoker, what are you going to do about your smoking? What are we doing that sustains anxiety and depression moment to moment? That's my contention. And I really think it's necessary to understand from a cognitive standpoint that we are either reinforcing those neural pathways in our brain, or we are ignoring them, minimizing them, and we are letting them fall into disuse and therefore not affecting us. So habits are learned, all habits.
I want to get all opinions and all ideas out on this show when it comes to mental health, as long as they're not out to hurt anybody. Sadly, mental health, and this is my commentary on the way we treat mental health. Sadly, mental health is the last frontier in the health field. We've almost mastered every other part of the human body. Now, we may not fully understand it, may not fully have cures for things, but we're still mapping the brain. And we're still trying to figure out the causes for mental health. We still don't know exactly. There are several causes, but what do we do? And we're treating it, in many cases, we're treating it the way we've treated it for hundreds of years. In some cases, there are some wonderful ideas and technologies that are advancing the field, but for the most part, we're still sadly behind when it comes to mental health. There is a large number of a mental health population of those who are suffering from severe mental health that are simply warehoused in hospitals and homes, simply warehoused. That's got to stop. Out of sight, out of mind when it comes to mental health. As long as we can get these people, as long as I don't have to look at a homeless person on the street who is going on and kind of like freaking me out, then we're okay. But that person's not okay. Because our answer seems to be call the cops, get them taken away. I don't care where you bring them, but just bring them somewhere. And even the police are getting in on the action right now. They're trying now, I know Toronto is under a plan right now to try and get away from being a cop with lights and siren going to a mental health call, but rather sending the professionals to a mental health call. You know, we call on our cops to do so much, but you know what? This is something that really needs specialization, to have someone go out there. And yes, they're there to protect you, and they're there to protect the person, the patient, if you will. But you know what? Our police officers are now becoming victims themselves, because society demands so much of them and they can never do anything right. And we want them to fix all of our problems. And that's another thing we're going to be talking about is PTSD. We're going to be talking about emergency services, frontline workers, police, fire, paramedics, our nurses, doctors, healthcare workers, grocery store clerks. I consider grocery store clerks frontline workers. They got to be there. And they got to meet us face to face. Not going to forget about them. So, is it possible, though, and this, I tend to blather on, so I want to get back to what Dr. Joe had said about habits. He gets a lot of pushback from some people saying, oh, you're going to say mental health is all about bad habits? Oh. I thought about it. You know what? I think some of it possibly may be, especially when it comes to our reactions. Now, I encourage you to go to my website and go to the blog and comment on that. Under the blog, the first blog I did was for Dr. Joe. I want to start the conversation going. I don't want anyone poo-pooing anybody else's ideas, by the way. We listen, all right? You're going to find a lot of getting better comes from listening, a lot of listening, and that's what I'm hoping that we will do. Is it possible that there are some habits that we have learned in the way that we react to stressful situations, in the way that we simply insert those situations into our brains? Are there some bad habits there? I'd encourage you to listen to this podcast. I'd encourage you to listen to it. You can download it after this right now. We're going to talk about how you can download it. And yes, I know a lot of people may not even be familiar with podcasts or with blogs or anything like that. And that's fine. You know what? I didn't listen to a lot of podcasts until just recently. And boy, have I been missing some stuff. So if you're just new to podcasts and new to listening to them, holy cow, you've got some great stuff to look forward to. So we'll talk about that, but I encourage you to listen to that podcast. So how do you find the podcast? For the most part, if you're on your laptop, it's very easy to Google podcasts and just go there. If you have your phone, which is where most people listen to their podcasts or download them so they can listen later, this is what you can do. All right. So you're going to go to the App Store or the Play Store or whatever store you have and download podcasts. And then you're simply going to, on that podcast, whichever one you choose, you search The Happy Molecule. There are many podcasts. Please remember to subscribe. That's most important to me. If you subscribe, it just shows, that people are actually listening. Then there's today's Unlearning Anxiety and Depression, Dr. Joseph Luciani. So it's that simple. It really is. Don't overthink it. It's nothing more than just an app. Okay, a podcast is an app on your phone, and there's Spotify, there's Apple, there's Google, there's TuneIn. There are dozens and dozens and dozens of podcast sites, and we're trying to get on as many as we can. If you want to take the easy way to listen to one of these, just go to my website, thehappymolecule.com, and click on podcasts. It'll bring you right there. Okay? Easy peasy. But don't just look for my podcast. Look for the other. There's some really good ones. One of the best, of course, the one that everyone talks about is The Daily from the New York Times. It's a fascinating conversation every day about the top news stories. So that's how you find the podcast. The blog is basically my blatherings, okay? I blather on about stuff, and I write it down, and I put it on a blog, and so it gets updated. All a blog is it's part of a website. It's my comments, but it's a chance for you to interact, okay? So on the website, you can interact with the blog. You can hit reply. So for those of you just joining us, hello, welcome to the Happy Molecule Extra. My name is Kevin Frankish, and I don't wear socks. It's true, I don't. I rarely wear socks. I just find I like to be grounded. It's one way that helps me stay in the present. And so I despise socks. I will only wear them when absolutely necessary. We're talking about the Happy Molecule and the Happy Molecule Extra. And I'm hoping that you have had a chance to listen to the podcast or at least go there after. Before we get to some more things, I want to talk about this new feature, the Me 3. Let's get to some of your comments. So here's Kelly saying Mark Hennick has a good podcast. Yes. In fact, Mark Hennick is going to be one of my guests in about 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. Mark Hennick has done an incredible job talking about mental health. He's made a business of it. He himself was about to die by suicide, was going to take his own life. And a stranger just stopped and talked to him. And that changed his life. So we're going to have him on in a little bit. Let's see. Let me see. Still trying to figure out where to find them on my phone. Okay, so where do you find them? So Lori, once again, you go to whatever. If you have an iPhone, you go to the App Store. If you have an Android, you go to the Google Play Store. And you just simply search podcasts. So you can download the Apple Podcasts, Spotify, any podcast. It doesn't matter. Just try and pick one of the major ones to begin with because they'll have everything on there that you need. You download it, and that's it. You go in there and you search whatever you want. You can search a topic. You can search my name. You can search the title of the show. You can search whatever you're interested in. So it's that simple. All right. Bonnie, I don't wear socks either. Good for you. Good for you, Bonnie. And again, look at this. See, Kelly's helping people go to the App Store. If you have any questions about anything, go on the message board. Everyone will help you. Believe me, you're going to be inundated with people who want to help you. Okay. Can you tell me again the name of the podcast? I will do more than that. I will show you the intro. The podcast is called The Happy Molecule. And yes, this Facebook live show. Oh, I put that back on. Hold on. I can't remember who it was. Yes, the Facebook live show. This Facebook live show will be on every Sunday evening at 7. And new podcasts will be uploaded every Tuesday morning. Every Tuesday morning, there will be new podcasts. And Donna, you are correct. Donna is a regular. We're always here to help. Everyone is here to help each other. And you know what? If you're having a bad day, you get on this message board, you tell people, you know what? They're there for you. They're all there for you. Oh, what is this? Okay, wait, is this? Paula says, first snow. Is she talking about today? Our first snowfall, I walked barefoot in the snow only for a minute, as Fitamai suggests. Yeah, okay, all right. I don't know if there was snow today. It could have been. Man, did we have a nasty storm come through about 2 or 3 o'clock this afternoon? Bam! Here in Toronto. Hello from Bowmanville, and I want to say hi to everybody. We're going to be getting people from all over. In fact, I would love it if you would exchange locations on the message board. Don't be afraid to get on the message board, okay? I know that part of depression is sometimes wanting to be by yourself. Not allowed here. All right? You're among friends. So even if you just type in hi, that's it. But I want you to be a part of it. I want you to be a part of it. Patricia Diane Foley Levesque has been helping me get through. Oh, yes, Charity. I know Charity and Patricia. Oh my gosh, mwah, Patricia. Absolutely the best. So friends helping friends. Hello from Aaron. Hello from Guelph. Hello from Niagara Falls. From Brantford, the birthplace of the telephone. Yes, it is nice to be back. Where is Mike Robin? There you are. Mike Robin got in late. Mike, you are going to get to know Mike if you watch Facebook Live every Sunday night. Mike Robin is like, he's my executive officer, I think, right? He's number one. All right. Aurelia, I was just up in Aurelia the other day speaking with the commissioner of the OPP about mental health and police. And hello from Hanover and from Whitby and Patricia. Okay, first of all, I want everybody to who has been following Patricia and Kevin's Post Isolators. Big shout out to Patricia. All right, I just a big shout out to her. Hello from Elliott Lake. Hello, Connie. Is it snowing there yet? I looked at the radar and I thought it looked like it might have snowed there today. Meredith in the Big Smoke. Hello from Milton, the birthplace. By the way, Milton, the birthplace. All right, let's put this up for a question here. Here's your skill testing question for the night. What fastener? What necessity that carpenters and machinists and mechanics use was invented in Milton? It was the world's birthplace of what? All right, so Milton. And I'll put a few more on here from Muskoka. Hello. And hey, from Kirkfield, Mary Catherine, home of the Kirkfield Locks. There it is. Fran, ding, 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 ding. Yes, the Robertson screwdriver and screw. It's more the Robertson screw. It was invented in Milton. It's the square screw. You know how you have the straight screw, the slot? You have the Phillips, which is the cross, and you have the Robertson. Now, the Robertson is probably the best screw, bar none. But the problem was the inventor was offered a lot of money by Henry Ford to basically buy out the screw, buy out this type of screw, because it would have saved him a lot of money and a lot of time. But the inventor was like a little bit leery about it, waited too long. And before long, sadly, the chance for it to become worldwide famous, like the Phillips and the slot screw, passed. It's still the best screw. It's still uniquely Canadian. It's still used in a lot of stuff around the world, but for the most part, you're going to find it here in Canada. You see, that's what we're going to be doing on this show. We're talking about a screw, okay? We're talking about a screw. We're going to go wherever the conversation leads us. Now, I want to get to something that I am starting out, and it's called the Me 3.
1, 2, 3.
The Me 3 list is something that is, I'm hoping will become a bit of a lifeboat for you. You know what a lifeboat is, right? It's not the big boat. It's not the big ship. It doesn't have all the conveniences, but it's something that you can use to get to safety. So the big three are three and I asked this of all my guests to come up with a me three list. So they are three simple things that you can do right now, right here, with very little effort, very little expense, right now, to start your journey. And that's what we're taking. We're taking a journey together to start your journey towards better mental health. It could be something as simple as drink more water. In fact, that's one of the me three lists from Joy McCarthy, who will be on the program in the next couple of weeks. So I thought I'd start it out just by giving you an example. I'm going to give you my me three list for you tonight. If you can do just these three things, it's three small steps in your journey to better mental health. One of the things about defeating depression is to get control of something. It's always important. We're going to be reminding you every once in a while that, you know what? Control what you can control. Don't worry about what you can't control. So, for instance, I know a lot of people get so angry that people aren't wearing masks right now, or they're gathering in big groups. Can you control that? Then stop worrying about it, okay? Going to be frank about it. You can't control it. Stop complaining about it. Stop bitching about it. Stop tweeting about it. You can't do anything. All you can do is encourage. Please wear your mask. And if they don't, you can't control that. Okay? So take that off your shoulders. All right? So take that off your shoulders. So we're going to give you a little bit of control. So my me three that I encourage you. The very first and most important thing, in fact, this is something that you're going to see in a lot of 12-step programs, whether it's Alcoholics Anonymous and all the other Anonymouses out there. And that is realize you have a problem and talk about it. All right? So talk about it to anyone who will listen. And if your family are sick and tired of you talking about it, then I'm sorry, you're going to have to reach out. And another thing we're going to be talking about, by the way, in an upcoming show is how do you deal with someone who lives with depression? So you may not have it yourself, but how do you deal with someone? So talk about your depression. Tell people about it. I have depression. I think I have depression. You're going to be amazed at how many other people say, so do I. Or at least the best thing you can do is just say, oh, tell me about that. How does it feel? Why do you feel that way? You would be surprised at how much weight is lifted off your shoulders by simply telling someone about it. And spoiler alert, that's one great way to deal with an anxiety attack or a panic attack is tell someone you're having one. They may not understand it. They may say, oh, no, you're not. But tell someone you're having one. It will shorten your anxiety attack by half by doing that. So talk. Just talk. So see how simple that is? That's the first of my me three of what you can do starting tonight. Number 2, start thinking about the word hope. We began this program earlier this evening by talking about hope. And I feel that hope is the opposite of depression. If you have hope, it kind of waters down the depression. If you don't have hope, it just amplifies it. Think about that. Why do you get depression? Why are you worried about tomorrow? Because you don't have very much hope. So I want you to consider the word hope. I never thought about this until I had spoken to Asante Houghton, who is one of the most incredible advocates for mental health in the country. And he's going to be on the show actually with me in the next couple of weeks as well. And he was the one that said, Kev, hope. Hope is everything. And he goes around, does TED Talks and all sorts of talks about hope. So I don't want you just to consider the word. I want you to write it down. I want you to write a list. I want you to draw the word hope in the mirror so that when you have a steamy shower, the word hope comes up in front of your face. I want you to make a list of things that you would like to hope for. And then I want you to fold up that list and I want you to put it into your pocket. All the things that you hope for, positive things. You know, I don't care about how outlandish. I really don't. Put it down. And then every once in a while, open it up and look at it. Then fold it back up, put it back in your pocket. It's going to get, I want it to get ragged because it means you're looking at it. I want you to consider hope. I want hope to become a daily part of your vocabulary. So that's number 2. I want you to think about hope. I want you to have things to hope for. And dare I say it, I want you to hope. And finally, number 3 of the Me 3. Hold on.
1, 2, 3.
Finally, number 3 of the Me 3. And that is so simple. Anybody can do it. It's not going to cost you anything. Breathe. Take a breath. Pause. In fact, I want everybody right now, I want you to stop whatever you're doing. I want you to sit. I want you to put your hands by your side, everybody. And I want you to take a nice, slow, deep breath in through your nose, okay? Just like this. Don't force it. And just hold it for a moment. And then slowly, slowly let it out through your mouth. Let's do it one more time. Let's do it together. Ready? Okay. I don't know about you, but I get this feeling right here. When you talk about mental health, you sometimes can associate it with different parts of your body. And it doesn't mean that it's going to be the same for you. So I get this feeling right about here, up towards my upper chest, into my shoulders. I get this almost tingling, almost this release. Could be something different for you. But when I sit down and do that breath, that's what happens. And for that split second, all my troubles go away. So while you're breathing, another thing you might want to consider, and this is asking a lot, we're going to be talking about meditation in the times to come as well, because meditation is not as a religious experience as you might think it is. And I know what you're saying. I've tried meditation. It didn't work. Yes, it did. It did work. The fact that you said it didn't work means it worked. And I'm going to be explaining that in a future show as well. You're going to be amazed. But if you possibly can, when you're taking that breath in, is visualize almost like shoulder pads, huge shoulder, heavy shoulder pads that a football player might wear. Shoulder pads that are made up of all the concerns and anxieties and worries that you have, everything that you're worried about. But I want you to think that as you're breathing in, all of a sudden, gravity isn't a law anymore. And those shoulder pads with all that weight, just lift off your shoulders. Just for a second, okay? Just for a second. Imagine what that would be like. Just for a second, if you could be free for 1 second from depression and from anxiety. Just try that. You need to convince yourself. I know I have. Shauna Parr, I don't know if you're on tonight. I haven't seen your name out there just yet, but she's a life coach and she's wonderful. And she was telling me to stand in front of the mirror. I've been very worried. I've been very anxious over the last few weeks about launching the Happy Molecule, because you know what? I want to make this my life. I have to be able to make a living at this, so I'm a little worried about that. But I want to do this. I really want to do this. So I've been trying to do everything I can. So I'm hoping I'm doing it right, but I've been a nervous wreck. And Shauna just said, keep going to the mirror and keep saying to yourself, this is going to be good. This is going to be successful. It's going to be okay. It's not a bunch of hooey, okay? By putting it out there, you're setting your sights, right? One of the best things I was ever taught about defensive driving is if you go into a skid. You ever notice that if you in an empty parking lot, if someone goes into a skid, inevitably they're going to hit the only light post in that parking lot. Why? Because they're looking at it. So someone once said to me, if you're going into a skid, now you forget all about everything else you've learned. Steer into it, steer out of it. Front wheel drive, you steer out of it, steer into it if you have a rear wheel. I don't even know. No, the simple thing is this. Look where you want to go, not where you don't want to go. Why do you think so many cars get hit on the side of the road? We lose police officers, get them injured because of their flashing lights. It's because people crash into them because they're looking at the flashing lights. So look where you want to go. And it's the same thing with your mental health. Where do you want to go? Heck, put it on a yellow sticky and put it on your wall. Where do you want to go? Not where you do not want to go. I don't want to go to the stress and the anxiety. I want to go where there's happiness and there's hope. That's where I want to go. So I want you to look at that. And that's where it comes in. You're putting it out there. And so you're going to go in that direction. I want you to go in the right direction. So put that out there. Boy, I've been blathering on for 45 minutes. I'll tell you that. Let's take a listen to Dr. Joe's Me 3 list. This is fascinating. I think a good time to bring in the Me 3. Actually, I'm only gonna let you hear one of them. You want to hear his other two? You have to go to the podcast. Here he is again. Dr. Joe's his number one of his Me. This is fascinating. I think a good time to bring in the Me 3.
1, 2, 3.
Let's get to your first Me 3. And you say, practice being more present.
Well, essentially, throughout the book, I'm talking about emotional struggle, and particularly anxiety, depression. Anxiety and depression do not exist essentially in the present. Anxiety is a projection into the future of things going awry. We worry, we anticipate. The anxiety we feel in the present is a reaction to that. Depression typically has a retrospective view, the guilt, the sadness. So we carry those things into the present. Now, what I feel when I say be more present is to be more externalized. We tend to look at our thoughts as somewhat separate from us, that we are the victim of our own thoughts. I call that passive mind. With active mind, you need to realize that it is really up to you which thoughts get through that turnstile and which don't. So if I'm sitting in my room right now and I'm looking around and I'm feeling somewhat anxious about an IRS audit that might be coming up in the next 10 years, God forbid, and I'm starting to get really upset. Now, I've left the present environment. I no longer am part of that present environment, not totally. So by being present, you are allowing yourself to really be within the confines of the thinking that is appropriate to that moment. You can't be anxious or depressed if you are totally in that moment.
So that's his first. You can hear the other two by just going and listening to the podcast. And subscribing. Please subscribe. It's really, really important to me, if I'm going to make a go of this, that you subscribe to the podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe as well and turn on notifications. That's how YouTube counts hits as well. Let me see. Marie. Hi, Marie. How are you doing? Let me see. Oh, and I know that Patricia was having problems with her video. Patricia, you're still having problems with your video? I had to leave and come back. So that's what you have to do sometimes. Sometimes Facebook will have hiccups in certain areas. If you lose me during one of these Facebook live shows, then log out, log back in again, and it usually fixes it. Thank you, Shauna. That's very nice. There's Shauna. We were talking about Shauna a little bit earlier. So the Me 3. What else do I want to talk about here? Oh, I know. Okay, so that's the podcast that's up there right now about Dr. Joe. And coming up on Tuesday, so this is the only week I'm going to have 2 podcasts available just to sort of get things going. Usually I'll be uploading them on Tuesday. So this Tuesday, episode 2, is a wonderful woman who was a guest several times on Kevin's Isolators that preceded this show back in March, April, and May, I guess. And she's a child psychologist. And we're going, and so Tuesday, we're talking about growing pains, depression, and kids. And we are noticing depression now in younger and younger and younger kids, like kindergarten. We're noticing suicide rates in high school and college and universities skyrocketing. And there's reason for this. So please don't say, oh, when I was a kid, we had stress too. I don't know what the problem is. No, it's different. It's much, much different. The world is moving exponentially faster than it ever has before. So we are going to be talking about depression and your kids on Tuesday. And she has some great advice. You wait till you hear her Me 3 list about what you parents can do for your kids. But what I've been noticing, it happened with Dr. Joe too, so take a listen to the podcast. I'm getting my own therapy here. As I'm talking to them, things are popping up in my mind where I can see the roots of my depression actually having happened back when I was a kid. And in a lot of cases, a lot of depression does have its roots in childhood. So listen here as I recalled a story to her that I had forgotten all about. When I was a kid, I think it was grade 3, I, for some reason, didn't want to leave the house, was worried my mom would not be there when I got back. No reason. It was just, I don't know, maybe I'd watched a show or something. I don't know. So I faked sick, and I faked sick, and I faked sick, and I faked sick, and I said I had a stomach ache, nothing more than that. I finally got put in the hospital because they didn't know what was wrong with me until they realized I was faking. And they sent me home. Children's Aid came and said, if you don't go to school, we're taking you away from your family. That, I think, gave me a little PTSD to live with to this day. However, could you imagine then if perhaps someone had said, okay, Kevin, let's talk about being sick, and not get mad at me, because that was the attitude, was kind of like from doctors and nurses and from Children's Aid, was like, you're just faking it. Enough of this. But imagine if in that time that they had sat down and they had said, let's talk about this. Where does this come from? Why do you feel, because you're not sick. It may be sick in another way, but why? If someone had done that, it could have saved me a whole lot of hell with my depression. So here was her reaction after I had said that. I got free therapy.
Yeah.
What happened? What was that?
And, again, we can't go back in time and diagnose or try to understand what was happening. But a couple of things really do stand out, right? So you had some physiological symptoms that, as you said, clear as day, you knew you didn't really have a stomach.
I knew it. Yeah.
But you knew that reporting that traditionally gets you out of something. So you were doing a smart thing. You're kind of engaging in an escape behavior, right? If I've got a stomach ache, usually I don't have to go to school. Let's see how long you can do this. Something at school, I suspect, was threatening or worrisome to you, or scary, or just hard to handle, maybe just outside of your skill set in some ways.
So that's Dr. Kusha Maria. She will be my guest Tuesday morning. And you can download the podcast on Tuesday morning. I know I just had a question about someone saying, how do you get the podcast on my phone? So probably someone who didn't see the little explanation a little bit earlier may have joined us a little bit late. Where is that? How to find the pod. There we go. So here we go. So what you're going to do is go to the App Store or the Play Store. You're going to download your favorite podcast. Okay, hold on. Let's start this over again. There are many different podcast directories, okay? They're all just different companies, sites that play podcasts. They're not like TV channels. So it's not like you're going to get Dancing with the Stars on this channel only and The Voice on this channel. No, you're going to get all the shows on all the podcast directories. They just have their own little bells and whistles. Some of them have exclusive podcasts. But, so you're going to download a podcast directory. Keep in mind, Amazon, iTunes, which is now called Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. It used to be Google Music. Anyway, Google Podcasts. Just look that up. There's Spotify. There's Tuned In. You know what, folks? Can you put more what podcast directories there are on the site? So the way you're going to do that is you're going to go to your App Store. You're going to go to the Google Play Store, and you're going to download a podcast app. You know what? I would suggest for now sticking to the big ones. So iTunes, so Apple, Amazon, the ones I mentioned, Spotify, and that. So stick with the big ones to begin with until you get more into it, because as you discover podcasts, you're going to discover more and more. Then you're going to say, wait a minute, I heard about this podcast, and you may download a different directory. You're going to love it. So once you have gone to the store to download it, and it's on your phone, you're going to click on it. It's very simple. You just click on the Happy Molecule. You search the Happy Molecule, and voila, there it is. Click on it. Hit subscribe, please. Hit subscribe, and you'll be notified whenever the new podcast is. I promise I will only do one a week, so you're not going to be bothered. And there's today's podcast that was uploaded. It's that simple. Don't overthink this. don't overthink this about podcasts. If you haven't done them before, I know that they've been around for many, many years, but many people haven't ventured in there. Don't overthink it. That's all it is. You download the app, you search it. Now you can, let's say you're interested in trains. I bet you there's a dozen podcasts for trains. Let's say you're interested in cooking. Oh my gosh, there are literally hundreds of thousands of podcasts for cooking. There's podcasts for golf. There's podcasts for everything. So you're going to search that. But to begin with, you're going to search The Happy Molecule, and please click on subscribe. If you are watching on YouTube, because I offer a video portion of this on my YouTube channel, please hit subscribe and notifications there as well, or follow. I can't remember what the button is, because that helps me out, and I'd appreciate it if all of you could help me out in making a go of this, because I really want to keep this going. But if I can't make a living at it, then I'm going to have to go back and get a real job. I don't want to get a real job. I'm no good at anything else. Okay, so that was that. Let me see. We did the preview there, Kevin. Okay, so let's take a look at the menu. So the podcasts are uploaded every Tuesday morning. So it'll be a new one available for you every Tuesday morning. You can watch what I'm calling the vidcast on my YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube, search Kevin Frankish. Very simple, Kevin Frankish channel. Then there's the Happy Molecule Extra. You're watching that Facebook Live right now, and I call that the Happy Molecule Extra. Same with the blog and the website, which is thehappymolecule.com. I call them the Happy Molecule Extra because they're a companion to the podcast. The podcast is the main thing. It's the big thing. The extra is talking about the podcast, supporting the podcast, talking to you, getting your reaction, and a lot of times real time. And I'm going to get to some more of your comments in just a moment, so I'm sorry if I haven't gotten to them. I love how you're having your own conversations off to the side here right now. And I know we're coming up to 8 o'clock, so I'll be going soon. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about, here we go. All right, so Mary Arlene, I think it's important to validate a person's feelings, whether they're a child, a senior, or peer. When you ignore or refute them, it often makes them feel like their thoughts really don't matter. How true. If you have ever heard of someone who's taken their life by suicide, you know what the first thing everyone says is, I wish I would have known. I really wish I could have been there to listen or to talk to this person. But by then it's too late. You can actually save a life just by listening. So yes, listen to everyone. Hold on for a second here. Yeah, Mike Robbins says trains. Someone say trains. If you know Mike, you'll understand that. Did it snow in Cochrane today, Mike? I was trying to find out if it snowed up in Northern Ontario. Let's see. What else do you have? Okay, I'm going to start just trying. I can't go back to some of the old comments. There's my buddy Matthew from Guelph. Matthew, as I've known Matthew forever and ever and ever. And you know what? Matthew is one of these people that takes a lot of listening to. He really does. But you know what? It's worth it if you know Matthew. It really is. And most people are worth it to listen to. And Carmen's just saying I got to go. Okay, yeah, definitely Carmen. Carmen's one of our regulars as well. Thank you, Janice. I just subscribed to the podcast. Folks, you don't know how important that is to me. And once you subscribe, can you pass it on to other people to subscribe as well? I'm saying that selfishly. It's completely selfish. You get no benefit from subscribing other than you get notified when a new episode comes on. But the more subscribers I have, the more I can show potential advertisers or the podcast directories that I'm worth sort of giving a bigger priority to. So whatever you do, please subscribe to the podcast or to the YouTube channels. Let me see. Facebook forced me to download a new Facebook app to get to this post. Yeah, Ruth, Facebook just underwent a big change last week. And there's been some weird things, but it's all good. It's all good. Not to worry. Yes, the Apple Podcast does come automatically. If you have an iPhone and you haven't deleted it, podcast is there. And the way that you find out what podcasts are, or what's on your phone on iPhone is just swipe down. Well, at least in the newer ones, I'm sorry. And then there's a search bar at the top, and you can just put in podcasts there. In fact, you can search podcasts, even if it's not on your phone, on your iPhone. it will give you some connections. Let me go down here and see what I've missed. Hold on. Thank you. And Charity has sent out the word, so please send it out to your friends. Send it out to your friends that the Happy Molecule is alive and well, and I hope growing. And I want these people all to become a part of the community. How many people here are new? How many people is their first time being on Facebook Live with this family? I'll tell you why, because we did have a show before in March called the Kevin's Isolators, and it went for 100 days, and we developed quite a family, quite a following. So if you are, say that you're new on here, and everybody welcome them. All the old folks. Talking to you, Mike. Yeah, the old folks. I want you to welcome all. So who is new here? Karen, thank you very much. Karen Moore Armstrong just subscribed as well. I feel like I'm doing a telethon. That's great. Let me see. I'm new here, says Denise. Everybody welcome Denise. And then we get to Catherine, who is an isolator. That's from the old family. Hanover, Mark and Kate. Hanover, Ontario, first time. Here's Edith. And we have Lorianne. I know I'm not going to get to everybody, but I'll tell you what, everybody who's the old isolators, can you welcome all these people for me, please? And welcome them here and make them feel welcome. This is a safe spot. We've only had 1 or 2 incidents, by the way, of people coming onto these message boards and saying something stupid just because they want to be heard. It's okay. As soon as we see it, we block them. No one needs to hear that. Everyone's ideas and thoughts matter. Every single person here, everything matters. Let me see. What we got? Karen, thank you. Karen Blunt subscribed. Thank you, Andrea, for subscribing. Let me see. There you go, Patricia. Now, Patricia she's also executive officer. Okay, so between Patricia and Mike, they're both executive officers, the number ones. I have 2 number ones. Who knew? Let me see. Hi, Kevin. There's Carol. So welcome, Denise. Says, see, you're going to find a family here, okay? And if you have some troubles, things like that, everyone will help you out here. Hold on. Holy cow, it's after 8 o'clock. You know, you've got, all you isolators, by the way, you've gotten used to Patricia sipping on her tea while she does the show. There's a new sheriff back in town right now. So, okay. I think that's about it that I wanted to talk about tonight. Now, yes, by the way, if you want to be a part of, there is yes, Mike Robin has been pushing this barbecue at my place. And, okay, Mike, I am promising you, okay, when COVID isolation is over, yes, I don't know how we're going to do it. We are going to get together. Okay. I don't know how we're going to do it. Let's worry about that. You know what? See, I'm dealing with my anxiety. I'm saying I'm not going to worry about that now. That's a later problem, but we will figure out a way to get everyone together. We'll have a barbecue. We'll have some fun. All right. But Mike will be mentioning this many times. There is a site called Kevin's Post Isolators. You have to be invited. So if you would like to be invited, you've got to send a message on the board here right now, and the folks there will take care of you. It's a lot of fun, and they have their weekly, their nightly show as well. And I'm giving Patricia a night off tonight. I hope you're enjoying it, Patricia. Because of this tonight. So that is it. I am going to be here every Sunday night. The doctor is in. Anybody a WKRP fan? The doctor is in. I'm not a doctor, but I did play one when I was a child. That's a little off color. So we'll be here every Sunday night, same bat time, same bat Facebook channel. And we're going to get together as a family. We're going to take this journey together. So the first part of the journey, take a listen to the podcast. If you haven't listened to it yet, just go to your favorite podcast directory or download one and search The Happy Molecule. It's slowly getting onto other podcast directories, so you may not find it yet. Like, you're not going to find it on Google yet. But it's slowly getting added on as the week goes on. And the more you subscribe to it, the more attention the podcast companies will give to it and get it uploaded all that much sooner. Now, I have something that I say at the end of every podcast, and at the end of every Facebook show, and I mean it. This is important. It's important to me, and it should be important to you. And my closing words are always this: take care of yourself and take care of each other.